Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica, and we got our episode of MiSTer News for May, and boy what a month it has been. It seems like every month I keep saying that, but more and more things keep happening in the world of MiSTer, and the PlayStation 1 core is now public and ready to go. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined to want to support the channel, we got a Patreon link down below as well. But that's the big news of the month, is that the PlayStation 1 core is public. It is no longer in beta testing, it is on full release, and it is absolutely spectacular. This is one of the greatest things that happened to MiSTer in 2022 in my opinion. As I've mentioned in previous videos, PlayStation 1 original hardware is quite finicky with the laser. I've replaced mine about 3 times now. Keeping that hardware running is a mess. And being able to play all of the PlayStation 1 games on MiSTer with beautiful scaled HDMI out or that RGB into a CRT television, it's just a sight to behold. And this is going to let you play any PlayStation game under the sun. Honestly, a PlayStation 1 with the X Station and an HDMI modification to it is almost the same price as a MiSTer, so really get the MiSTer, you're gonna have a ton of fun, and all the widescreen hacks and everything like that. This has just been so much fun to follow along and see what's going on with PlayStation 1. And I will leave a link in the description below if I remember, but if you haven't used this core yet, I did a full setup guide 2 weeks ago to help get you going on this, because it's definitely a core you want to check out. So if you haven't played around with it yet, go ahead and use that link below after the video, and I'll show you how to get the PlayStation 1 core up and running with Update All and get you playing, because it is amazing to have this little board be a PlayStation 1. People thought it wasn't possible, but here we are. It is done, and you can play it whenever you want. The second biggest bit of news, even though this was the end of April, there were some improvements made in May, is 32X is on MiSTer as well, and that was something nobody anticipated whatsoever, but now your MiSTer is also a Sega 32X. It was a failed add-on that not many people owned when they were kids. I definitely did not have one, even though I kind of wanted one, but I have one now. A viewer sent one into the channel. But it's great to have 32X as well, especially the story behind it. The maker of this is from Ukraine, and of course things are going on there right now, and he randomly just dropped this core, and some members of the community fixed a few sound related issues where audio was running too fast or at too high of a pitch. But playing 32X on the MiSTer is amazing, because emulation is not the best on the 32X, that's just the way it is, and having this core is going to bring so many more people into the 32X fold, because there are a few games that are definitely worth playing, but this was a big deal back in the day. 32X was in magazines, it was advertised everywhere, and as a kid I definitely wanted to own one. My parents did not buy it for me for Christmas, and I think they probably inadvertently did me a favor. And the maker of this core did everyone a favor by giving you the entire library of the 32X at your fingertips, because things like Virtua Fighter are quite fun on them. I wouldn't play this over the Sega Saturn version, but checking it out is absolutely spectacular. And the best part about this is that the 32X is getting very expensive. I'm seeing boxed units selling for $300 and a loose unit selling for $200, and trust me, it is not worth that. This unit doesn't even have the patch cable to run to the Genesis, and it has a buy it now price of $200. It's not worth it. Just play it on MiSTer. Trust me, you're going to have a ton of fun, and you're going to be happy you saved that $200. And definitely don't buy Knuckles Chaotix. It's probably the worst Sonic-related game I think I've ever played, and that is saying something. But moving on to the arcade side, we got a bunch of new cave-related cores coming up, and that is awesome because this hardware is super expensive. Dangun Feveron here is another cave shmup, and I can't say that it's my favorite cave shmup ever made, but it's still a legitimately really good one, and I love being able to check it out on MiSTer. I've never 100% clicked with this game, but I know some people really love it, and it is running really well on the core, and that is absolutely spectacular, because Cave did have their own hardware for a while. For a while they used the PGM boards, but having more cave cores on MiSTer is great, especially if you have a Tate arcade setup, or if you have a CRT you can turn on your side. I've got one right next to me. Being able to play these type of games, the Tate shmups, is just so much fun, and these games are so colorful, they're so vivid, there's so much stuff going on in them. It is absolutely amazing to be able to check them out and not have to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars to have an original PCB, because if you don't believe me, just go on eBay or go on Yahoo Auctions Japan and look up the current price for pretty much any Cave standalone printed circuit board, and you're going to realize the prices are eye-wateringly high. But Cave didn't just make shmups. They also made puzzle games, and Puzzle Uo Poko is a ton of fun. It's absolutely a charming game. It's basically like Puzzle Bobble except upside down. That's the best way to describe it. You break the bubbles just like in Bubble Bobble. No, sorry, Puzzle Bobble. I always get those confused. Taito, you made it so hard on me here. But I love the soundtrack too. It sounds great. So listen for 30 seconds and I will be right back. You can't go wrong with that soundtrack, and you can't go wrong with a cute cat popping bubbles. But the maker of this core null object also has Gouange in the works that is not released yet, but that's going to be another awesome addition to MiSTer, because it's another extremely expensive game that is 100% worth checking out if you're into the bullet hell genre. And they're also working on Gaia Crusaders. That's from Noise Factory, the people that made Matra Melee, one of my favorite games of all time. And it works on a PCB that is cave-like and very similar. And again, if you've ever played any Noise Factory games, they've got a lot of personality. Some people love them, some people hate them, but this is definitely a game that you don't hear talked about much, and it'll be great to have it on MiSTer as well, because it'll bring more people to the game itself, because this is not something that you're probably going to see on many top 10 beat 'em up of all times lists. But Noise Factory always made really charming, really interesting games with great soundtracks, so it's going to be a ton of fun eventually to have something like this on MiSTer as well, because MiSTer isn't just for playing the top 10 PlayStation 1 games of all time, it's also for playing some of these deep cut PCBs that people fondly remember, but the majority of gamers don't know as well. But if you want to talk about something everybody knows, that would be Konami's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is an absolutely spectacular beat 'em up, and as far as iconic arcade games of the 90s are concerned, this is right up there with The Simpsons, also from Konami. They were on a hot streak for a while there. This is an amazing game. When this first came out in arcades, I begged my parents for more quarters just to play it, and I always wanted to have a copy for myself. Well, it's not on MiSTer yet. Of course I own a PCB because that's how I am, but I am very excited to have this core coming to MiSTer, and the maker has shown a few previews. Look at that TV there with Shredder in the background and that hydrant, and if we move over to one of their posts, you're going to see that they're talking about getting some things to display on screen, including but not limited to that TV with Shredder, and it says game over. So it's in the works. Maybe it'll be next week, maybe it'll be next month, maybe it'll be next year. There's never any timelines on MiSTer, and remember, the makers make these because they enjoy doing it, so don't bother them and ask them when it's coming. You'll find out when it's available, either from me or from somebody else. Moving on to Jotego, though, he's got a lot of stuff going on as well. He's 93% of the way through dealing with all the instruction sets for the Neo Geo Pocket Color, as well as the Neo Geo Pocket, because they're basically one in the same. And this is a handheld that just completely failed in North America. I remember seeing it for sale for $20 with 3 games, and I wish I had bought it back then because the games have gone way up in value. And that's another great thing that's going to be on MiSTer, because not many people own a Neo Geo Pocket Color. I wouldn't recommend it to too many people to go out and spend the money for the hardware, but the fact that, again, soon, maybe next month, maybe in 6 months, we're going to be playing this on MiSTer, it's amazing, and it's got an awesome Beastbusters RPG you can't miss. But Jotego also released Vigilante as a core this month. Now, I will say, I cannot stand Vigilante. I do not know why people love it, but that's fine. If you play it, it makes you happy. I am happy for you. There's no bad games. There's just games that people don't enjoy compared to other ones. So if you are a huge Vigilante fan, it is here, and you can play it. Maybe I'll give it another try. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me what I'm missing. I've just never really clicked with the game that much, and even capturing this footage here, I was still kind of a minute in saying, I'm really not in that much of a mood. But Jotego's also working on the System 18 hardware. It is still in the works. Who knows? Next month, next year, never. You never know with these things. And it's got a decent handful of really good games on it. It's not the deepest library of a Sega board ever, but you have some really good stuff. Desert Breaker's always a fun time. Hammerweight is a prototype. Laser Ghost is great, but the big ones are Moonwalker and Shadow Dancer. But I absolutely love Laser Ghost, and you might be seeing it around Halloween on my channel this year. Wink wink, nudge nudge, spoiler alert. And because, as I showed you 3 weeks ago, that you can use the GunCon 2 and 3 on MiSTer, you're going to be able to play something like Laser Ghost one day with a light gun on your CRT or your LCD. It's amazing we're going to be able to do so many things like this. It's spectacular. I love it. And sometimes even I can't believe these things just work. playing something like this in the future on my LCD with the GunCon 3 will be spectacular. And a really random thing, which I think is awesome and I had not heard about until someone pinged me on it, is that the Game & Watch is coming to MiSTer. It's running too fast here, but somebody's working on it, and that's the great thing about MiSTer. If someone loves the hardware, they're going to bring it to the platform. But yeah, that's all the news for MiSTer for May. Big thanks to Vampire and Fuzz for giving me a lot of information as it happened in real time for the PlayStation 1 core, because I've been extremely busy with my real filmmaking job this month. And also a shout out to Adventure Taco. He's a frequent commenter, and when he heard I was giving shout outs, he asked for one, and I said, hey, why not? There's a lot of jokes to be made here, but Adventure Taco, it was very sweet of you to make your username the same nickname your mom had in high school. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.